This is the Getting Into Alignment podcast. Here we play in the quantum world of possibilities. If you desire it, you get to have it. My name is Alexa Ray Smith. I'm a business coach and spiritual teacher for women in business. I'm here to help you unlock your personal power and tap into your magnetism so that you can manifest the most incredible life for yourself and build the business of your dreams. These episodes will help you plug into the energy of infinite potentiality and teach you the tools you need to play in this world where limitations don't exist. On this podcast, I'll be talking to you about energetics, mindset, embodiment, spirituality, money, and business. Everything that you want is on the other side of you getting into alignment. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Getting Into Alignment podcast. I'm your host, Alexa Ray Smith, and I just want to start out by saying thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I just got the Spotify Unwrapped, I think that's what it's called. You can tell we're new to Spotify over here. And so many of you have favorited this podcast and it was in your top 25 or top 10 or top 5. And I just want to say thank you so much. And for the 5.0 rating, I love you guys so much. I'm so appreciative for you being here. I'm so appreciative for you listening. I love that the podcast is helping you. And I'm just so grateful that this podcast is getting out there and is getting to all of the people who are called towards the messages. Now, I want to start out by saying I've decided after a download the other day to completely restructure my business. And if you've been here for a while, you see that I do this quite often and I shift because I lead an intuitive-led business. And the reason why I share this with you is I want you to know that you're allowed to change your business. You're allowed to change your mind. The truth is, the more decisions that you make and you just go after them, the more in alignment and the faster you're going to get to success, right? If you're taking a long time to make decisions, that's when you're going to have a really hard time building momentum. And so over here, I'm a manifesting generator. So you guys know we are about being efficient. We're about skipping steps. And then sometimes we got to go back and reevaluate. And I'm an emotional authority. So my emotions lead. And this is in human design. If you don't know your human design, then I highly encourage you looking it up. You can always book a session with me. And I do teach human design in my membership. So I share my changes on here because I want you to know that if you're a business owner or if you're somebody who is thinking about getting into business, that you can decide something and then just go all in and then pivot and change and evaluate. And if something doesn't feel good anymore, I want you to honor it because your business is something that you should feel really excited to show up for. And if you keep yourself stuck in doing these things that no longer feel in alignment, that's when you're not going to have the energy to show up anymore. That's when you're not going to feel creative. That's when you're really going to start to resent your business. And your business is a space for you to really be your authentic self and for you to serve the collective. So that means that your energy needs to be in alignment with what you're doing. So with all of that being said, I have decided to close the doors to my Manifestation Academy, Alchemy of Manifestation Academy. I've decided to close the doors to my business school, Conscious CEO, and I've decided to put everything into my membership that was called Synergy, and it's now going to be called AOMU. So what this looks like is now you get access to all of my programs, everything from personal development to healing, to mindset, to manifestation, to energetics, to universal laws, to self-concept, to human design, to business, all of the things. You get all of the things in one low ticket membership. And what's so beautiful about this is I'm really focusing on the community and building one space where we can really grow together and we can really come together. Because the one thing that I find that is probably like the dark side of going through the spiritual awakening and doing the personal development is it can be a rather lonely road. And I know for me, when I was going through all of this, the place where I found connection was online. It wasn't in my locality. I didn't have close proximity to people that were doing this work. And I find that that's often the case, right? Because even though more people are waking up, we're still seeing that a lot of people still live in the matrix. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to hyper focus on this one thing. So you get into the membership and you get access to all of the programs, and you also get access to a community where you get to connect. And once a month, we are going to meet for a group coaching call. Now, this month is so exciting because the portal is on 12/12. And that is an epic, energetic day. That's a day when you can really harness the power of the universe. And as the Hermetic Principle says, as above, so below. So when we start working with the energies of the universe, that's when we're actually going with the flow instead of resisting like we've been taught to do. So on this first group coaching call, we're going to have a meditation, we're going to do some teaching, we're going to have some question and answers. It's going to be a really, really fun time. And I'm so excited to start building up this community because over the past year or so, as I've been growing on TikTok a lot, I have a lot of people that are in my community. Like, you guys are the ones that show up for my lives. I see your faces all the time. You comment on my videos. I see you, and I know that you are doing the work, and I'm so grateful that you're there. But I want to have a space for you to also connect with other people. And I want to have a space where we're really doing the work together. So that way, no matter where you are in your journey, no matter where you are in your life, you have people that can hold space for you and can celebrate you. Because there's a celebration thread in the group where you can celebrate your wins, whether it's a small win or whether it's a big manifestation, whether you just had a breakthrough, or whether you just manifested the home of your dreams, whatever it is. And if there's something that you're going through, or if you need someone to lean on and you want a space to really be vulnerable, there's a space for you. And it's so beautiful because now there's going to be one space for you to go to plug into, to connect to like-minded people. So that way you never feel alone. So that way that you have a community. And I really want to bring you guys together, because when you're in my programs together, when you come into my lives together, I see you guys, you're so supportive. You guys also notice the people that are coming in and showing up daily. And I love this little community that we've built together. And I want to really help you guys to feel like you have this family that you built, or you didn't have to build, but a family that you got to join, and that it's a family that supports you and sees you and honors you and holds space for you and celebrates you. And I'm just so excited. So going forward, I will be creating new programs as I feel called. And they're all just going to be available in the membership. So the way that it's going to work is, if you want to be in my world, you can either work with me one-on-one in mentorship, or you can join my membership. And if you want to join the membership, I will leave the link below. And there are now 3 different payment options. You can either join monthly and enter in for a year, or you can pay yearly and have year-long access, or you can pay lifetime access, one-time payment, and then you get access to all of the things, and you get access to all of the updates going forward. If you have any questions, you can always DM me either on TikTok or on Instagram. The links for both of them are below as well if you don't know where to find me, if you're new here, if you're just finding me. So I wanted to just get that out of the way. And now I want to get into something that, if you've been in my world, I know that you've heard me say this. I say this all of the time, but I find that not enough people in the manifestation community say this, not enough people teach this. And of course, you guys know I write about this in my manifestation book, which, if you're not aware of, is going to be coming out soon. I took a break from writing for a little bit, but I am submersing myself back into it. I am hoping to have it released by my birthday in a few months. So join my email list and you'll be the first one to know when the book comes out. But this is a topic that needs to be addressed, because it doesn't matter how many times I say this, it still needs to be said, because repetition is the key to learning. It's the key to mastery, right? So the thing that you really, really, really need to lock in on in manifestation is that manifestation is a decision. It's a decision, okay? It is not about you praying to the universe to get something that you don't have, but you're like hopeful in this wishy-washy energy, like, please, universe, please, 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 I would love to manifest this money, or I would love to manifest this person, or I would love to manifest this car, but you like don't really think it's going to happen, and you're not really doing anything about it. You're not changing your mindset. You're not changing your energy. You're not changing your expectations. You're not changing your habits. You're not taking action towards it. That's when you are in this wanting and waiting energy. And if you're in wanting and waiting energy, you will never manifest, or you will inconsistently manifest your desires, because the truth is you're still allowing your unconscious programmings to run your life. And because the majority of us have been programmed out of alignment, if you don't do the work to program yourself, to program your mind, then somebody else programmed your mind for you. And 99% of the time, the person that programmed your mind is not somebody who's living in your desired reality. So if you keep living your life in their programmings, which is their beliefs, then you're going to keep manifesting a life that's similar to the person who programmed you. And what you have to understand is manifestation is just you tapping into the natural abilities that have always been available to you. You've always been manifesting. It's not like you learn how to manifest and then one day a switch goes on. You've always been manifesting, but you are either consciously manifesting what you desire or unconsciously manifesting what you don't want. And where I see a lot of people getting stuck when they're in my community, when they're in my comments, before they get into my programs, before they get into mentorship with me, the number one place that I see people getting stuck is they think that manifestation is some like Band-Aid fix. And if they pray enough, or if they ask for enough signs, or if they script enough, or if they visualize enough, that like one day they're just gonna get a knock on their door and there's gonna be a big fucking check, or they're gonna knock on their door and open the door and there's gonna be a car with a bow on it, or it's gonna be their specific person. Now, don't get me wrong, I have visualized a man knocking on my door before because I wanted to meet a man when I moved somewhere, and it literally worked out perfectly, and it was epically amazing. And I've told that story on my lives before. If you know, you know. So I'm not going to get too deep into that story today. But I'm not saying that somebody can't come knock on your door and it can be exactly what you wanted. But what I am saying is there's too many people that are waiting for that to happen, but not actively co-creating that experience. When that person knocked on my door, maybe I will tell the story. So, all right, let's just tell the story so you have some context, but I'm going to shorten it. If you know, the reason why I don't tell stories on my podcast is because I am an amazing storyteller, in the fact that like I'm going to give you a super long story with all the details and you'll be able to picture it and you'll go on the ride with me. But the negative aspect of me telling stories is I'm not good at telling a short story. Like, you got to sit down and like grab a cup of tea because we're going to be here for a minute. So I'm going to try and just hit the major points. I was not planning on talking about this today, but somebody needs to hear this. And as I'm telling this, my favorite little black squirrel is running amok all over the house right now. And if you know, black squirrels are very, very rare. And every time I can't even make this up, I just turned my head and another one just came down the tree. So there are two black squirrels right now. One is running amok, like running back and forth in front of the window and in the window next to me. And then one just came down the tree in front of me. So this story was meant to get out there. They are a sign of luck. They're extremely rare. And I'm now looking at two. I do believe that this is the son of like the other one, because when I was here 2 years ago, I did see the initial one, but I love that there's two. They're my favorite. Okay, anyway, coming back to it. So when I moved to South Carolina, I lived there for a little bit while I was looking for my own place and manifesting my own place. And when I had moved into my own place, I was ready to meet somebody. I'd been there for maybe like 2 months, going from South Carolina and North Carolina, living in different places, absolutely loving it, being a block away from the beach, being right on the river. It was amazing. But I got to the point where I was not really meeting any men that were anything close to what I actually look for in a man. I'm very, very, very specific on what I'm available for, and I have a lot of non-negotiables because I have very high standards. I am not that girl that growing up was like, I just want to marry a man and have a family. I was always like, I'm going to build a fucking empire. And being in a relationship with somebody has always been the last priority for me because I'm my number one priority. So I'm definitely very different than the majority of people. And that's why I don't talk about love a lot, because like I don't have that inclination towards it like so many people do. I'd rather talk to y'all about spirituality, about mindset, about manifestation, about money, about business. Like I'd literally probably rather talk about anything other than that. But I know that this is such a hot topic, like especially on TikTok. But anyway, so I got to the point where I was ready to meet somebody, but I was like, I need to move into my condo and I have a lot like going on because I need to move in. But I was like, you know what? I can manifest anything that I want. So I am going to manifest that I'm going to meet my person and like he's just going to knock on the door. Why couldn't he just knock on my door? Now, just to give you an idea, because what I saw in my mind when I said that was I saw me opening up my door, like vividly saw the door of my condo, saw my hand, like with the tattoos and everything, opening it up. And I saw a very tall man. That is my number one thing. If you're not at least 6'2", 6'2" to 6'4" is like my sweet spot. If you are not in that height range, like we're not going to get together. It's just not going to be a thing. So I saw a very tall man that was like in the 6'2" range with dark hair and tattoos opening. I didn't see his face very crystal clear, but he had an athletic body. Like physically, he was all of my non-negotiables, right? And it was like I opened up the door and there was a man right there that was standing like 2 feet away from my door. I then was like, okay, cool. And I just went about my day. I started unpacking my boxes. I was doing whatever, everything that you do when you move into a place. It's about 4 p.m. and I go, oh my God, I did not call to get internet. Oh my God, I didn't call to get internet. Because it's 4 o'clock, right? And they normally close at like 4 or 5. And maybe it was closer to 5. I don't know, but you get the point. So it's a Friday, right? And they're typically closed on Saturday. And I said, you know what? I am not available for my internet getting hooked up like on Monday. Someone is coming tomorrow. They are coming tomorrow morning, bright and early, and they are setting up my internet. Period. That's what I'm available for. That's what's happening. I call the company and they're closed. So I was able to set an install meeting and they told me that it probably wouldn't be until Monday, but if there was anybody available sooner, they would call me. And I was like, cool. No sweat. They're going to call me tomorrow. I run an online business. I need to have the internet. Of course, I can sit and like meditate and do all the things. Like I can be good without it, but I also run a business where I need it, right? So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to sweat it because this is what's happening. I know for a fact it's happening. Now, I was not. Well, let me just tell you a little more of the story. So I do whatever I'm doing. I finish moving. I go to sleep. The next day I wake up and there is a missed call. And you guys know I do not look at my phone for the first hour of every day. But for some reason, I felt called to look at my phone. And I wake up and I've got a missed call. And I was like, I don't know this number. And I listened to it and it's a voicemail from this guy being like, hey, I was calling to see if I could set up your internet. Please give me a call. And I was like, sweet. But it was like an hour gone by. So I called the guy right away and I was like, hey, yeah, you can come over. And he was like, cool, because you literally just caught me. I only work like a portion of the day and I was about to sign off. So he was like, is it okay if I come over right now? And I'm like, yeah. So I literally jump in the shower and I get dressed in my workout clothes because I'm like, once this dude leaves, I'm going to work out. So I had no time to put on any makeup. I had no time to dry my hair. Like, it was, it was raw. Like, it was raw. So, and I'm telling you this because these all matter. Like, these things all matter. So he gets there like 20 minutes after I call him. I open the door and I'm not even exaggerating. It is a 6 foot man who has an athletic build, who has dark hair and tattoos, and he's standing 2 feet away from like my door in the exact spot that I had visualized, but it was like the person was just kind of like grayed out and shadowy, and then it was just like the image had completely come to life. I am telling you that this is one of the hottest men I've ever seen in my life, like to the point where my jaw was like dropping because I was expecting some like old man with a beer belly to be coming to install my cable. I never thought that the guy that came to install my cable would be the man that I was manifesting. He's looking at me similarly because come to find out, his favorite like thing about a girl is if she's basically like no makeup on, in like workout clothes or in sweats. So that's why I told you that, because I had no time to get ready. Normally I would have been ready, my hair would have been done, my makeup would have been done, all the things. So he comes over, and as he walks in and I'm trying to like get my jaw off the ground, I see that he has a basketball team logo tattooed on his arm. Now, if y'all know me, you know I fucking love basketball. And I was like, sweet. So I asked him, I was like, so are you a blah, blah, blah fan? I'm trying to like leave out details in case he ever hears this, so he doesn't know I'm like talking about him. And he was shocked because I know I played basketball for 8 years. I know a lot about basketball. Like, I can hold my own better than most men if we're going to talk about basketball. And I was like, so are you? Oh, no. So I asked him, are you from there? He's obviously a fan. He's got them tattooed. And he was like, no, I'm from New York. Another thing I was manifesting was the man was going to be from the North, because I don't fuck with Southern men. Tried it, been there, done it, never going to happen. I love Northerners. Like, I love keeping it straight. I love like cracking jokes. I love calling each other out. Like, I love witty repartee. He is like, I'm from New York. And I was like, oh man. So anyway, we start talking, he ends up, and this is another reason why I'm keeping it on the DL, because he wasn't supposed to do this. So he writes down my internet password and name. Oh, and I had Ghost outside because she was a big dog. And I was like, yeah, sorry, that's my dog. I just have her outside because some people don't like big dogs. And he was like, I love big dogs. And I let her in, and he was in love with her. And I was like, oh my God, I'm falling in love with you. And he was like, he writes down my internet, he writes down my password and the name, and then he writes down his name and his number. And now here's the thing is, they already told me that the technician would be calling me from their phone number. So I already knew I had his number, technically. Would I do anything about it? I probably not. But like, I already knew I had his number. So he writes down his name and he writes down his number, and there's a whole story behind his name too, which I won't get into because that will completely like call him out. But anyway, he writes down his phone number, and he was like, if you have any questions, you can call me. So I want to say like 20 minutes later, he texts me from his phone. He's now off the clock, right? Like, because I was his last thing. And he was like, I just have to tell you, like, I know that I shouldn't be texting you like this. Like, please don't, like, if you don't want to talk to me, that's fine. But like, please don't get me in trouble with work. Like, I swear I've never done anything like this. And we start talking, and he's like, I really like your vibe, like, da-da-da. And he was like, do you know what's so crazy? I wasn't even like, your condo isn't even in my vicinity. Like, I normally service a completely different area, but my roommate also works for the company, and I traded shifts with him today. So what's so wild is, typically on a normal day, he wouldn't have even been the one that came to my house. It would have been his roommate. Now, I've met his roommate after the fact. And if his roommate came to my door, he was not like, he did not meet my non-negotiables. He was short. He was kind of scrawny. Not like he was a bad looking dude, but like, you need to be a tall, athletically built man, like, period. It won't even be entertained in my world if you're not. So I'm telling you that story because you absolutely can manifest someone coming and knocking on your door, but you've got to actually see it happening. You've got to know that it could happen. You can't question whether it's going to happen. You can't have all of these expectations on how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen. You just decide what you want, and then you keep going about your day, and then you follow the inspired action, and the universe will do the heavy lifting. It wasn't like I was like, the man who comes to my door needs to be installing my cable. he needs to come tomorrow. I just knew that my cable was getting installed tomorrow. I knew that I needed to get cable. It wasn't on my mind all day. I had forgotten about it. If it was on my mind, I would have called and I probably would have gotten another technician because it wasn't his area. So this whole thing wouldn't have come together. So I'm telling you that so you understand, yes, somebody could come to your door. And you have to have some part in the co-creation process, right? Where I find a lot of people are really not actively in the co-creation process is they're waiting for all of these things to happen to them, outside of them, and they aren't actually doing anything with themselves. They aren't deciding what they want. They're asking for signs from the universe, like, please, universe, give me a blue butterfly if I'm going to meet my partner, my soulmate today. No. Do you want to meet your soulmate? Yes or no? Stop asking for signs from the universe. You're getting signs all of the time, but stop looking for them before you move. You've got to decide what you want, and then you've got to go about your life. And the thing is like I'm telling you, like that whole story with that man was absolute perfection. Like everything that I wanted in a man, he absolutely was. Like if I did not leave the South and if he didn't get homesick of the North, and like, he lives in the complete opposite area of New York where I'm from. Like New York is a huge state. It's like 8 hours away. If we both hadn't been called to different areas because he really loves living there but missed his family and he lived in an area where I would never want to move. Like besides that, everything was literally perfect. So if you're going to ask me, are you still with the guy? No, I'm not, because of just the location thing. But that was the only thing. And honestly, like I almost would have caved for him because we had that good of a relationship and dynamic. Even he will tell you this. Like, so, but like, that's another thing is I wasn't caught up on it, right? Like if him and I meet again, like and cross paths, okay, cool. But if not, I'm also not like tripping up about it. But this is the thing, right? You've got to decide what you want, and then you've got to see it happening for yourself in your mind, and then you've got to release it and let it go and go about your life. Actively do the work to clean up your mindset and to clean up your energetics. And then you've got to take the inspired action and not need it to turn out a certain way. You've got to drop all of the expectations. And this is something where I have a problem with the way that a lot of the law of assumption teachings are getting taught on TikTok, because people are trying to manipulate and control the whole thing, and they've got such high expectations. And every spiritual teacher, including Bashar, right? Like Bashar is one of the best channels, best, my opinion. I just love him so much, but a lot of people support this as well. And one of his main pillars to like his 5 things is drop your expectations. So you've got to stop having such high expectations that you need it to go a certain way, and you actually need to get clear on what you are deciding you get to have, and then who do you need to be so that way you can get it. When you focus on those 2 things, instead of focusing on how it's going to happen, instead of focusing on when it's going to happen, that is when the universe is like, okay. When you decide something, you're not like, well, if it happens, it happens. Like maybe it'll happen. You're like, no, this is happening. And manifestation is always this or something better. So just like when you decide that you want to have a healthier body, when you decide that you want to get more fit, you don't just decide and then do nothing about it. You don't decide and then eat Cheetos on your couch all day. You don't binge Netflix all the time while drinking soda. You don't go out and drink at the bar every single night. You change your habits daily. You know that you need to work out every single day. You know that you need to drink more water. You know that you need to get outside more. You know that you need to move your body more. You know that you need to be more conscious of what you're eating and when you're eating and what you're doing and whether your habits are supporting a healthy lifestyle. Like when you decide to have a healthier body, it's a decision. And the people that don't decide, that like aren't actually serious about it, are the ones that will say, oh yeah, I'm going on another diet, but then 2 minutes later they're eating brownies. You know what I mean? It's like you don't take that person seriously because that person doesn't take themselves seriously. And if you don't take yourself seriously, the universe won't take you seriously. So it's like, are you actually serious about your manifestations? Are you actually serious? So another example is, say that you desire to be financially free? Have you made a decision that you are going to have financial freedom in your life? Or are you still scratching lottery tickets, hoping that you win the lottery because that will save you? Because, fun fact, it will not save you. 85% of lottery winners go bankrupt within the first 5 years because money is a mindset, it's a consciousness, it's an energetics. There's so many things to it. I call it money work. It's not just money mindset, but it's like if you haven't done the money work, you're going to lose the fucking money. So the thing about it is you can't decide and then have your actions and your mindset and your energy be out of alignment with that decision. And that's what a lot of people are doing. They aren't even deciding, and then they aren't getting their mindset in check with it. They aren't getting their energy in check with it. And then they aren't taking actions aligned with it. And yes, you can visualize something, but in order for that visualization to come into fruition, there are things that you need to do, and not necessarily to force that manifestation to come in, but for you to actually receive it, there are things that you need to do. You are a human being living on a 3D planet. You have to move. You got to be doing things. And the thing is, just like in my previous story, the things that you're doing might not have anything to do with the manifestation in a logical lens. And because you're doing those things, the way that it all plays out, it actually comes together perfectly. You know how in movies where it's like, there's this like chain of events that occur and then everything like seemingly comes together, but in the process, it seems like things like quote unquote aren't working out. Your life is like a movie. Like, how do you think people get the inspirations for movies? Yes, of course, sometimes it's in their mind, but a lot of the times they're taking evidence from their life, from other people's life stories and putting it together. That's how life works. Like, the universe is putting you in all of these places and all of these situations, and it's always supporting what you desire to have. But a lot of people aren't getting clear on what their non-negotiables are. A lot of people aren't setting standards for themselves. A lot of people aren't taking action in alignment with their desired reality. They're showing up as a version of themselves who doesn't have it. They're worrying, doubting, fearing. They're spending the majority of their time in the archetype of them not having it. They aren't putting on a new self-concept. They aren't showing up as that new version of themselves. They aren't believing that it's possible for them. They aren't deciding. That's the thing. When you decide something, you aren't like, maybe it will happen. It will fucking happen. You don't exactly know when it will happen. You don't exactly know how it will happen, but you've decided that it will happen. So I want to ask you today, have you decided? Have you decided on what you want to manifest? First, have you decided? Secondly, once you do decide, are you getting your mindset? Are you getting your words that you're speaking out loud and speaking in your head, your self-talk? Are you getting that in alignment with it? Are you getting your energy in alignment with the version of you that has it, that's confident, that's certain? Are you taking action, inspired action, not needing to logically know how everything's going to play out, but trusting that when you've decided, the universe hears you? The universe hears you. And the thing is, the reason why non-negotiables are so important is you are the one that's manifesting. You are the leading energy. The universe is just matching you in the energy that you're in. If you aren't clear on what you manifest or want to manifest, then how is the universe going to know exactly what you want? I used this analogy the other day in a live, so you might have seen this because I did put it on my YouTube channel. But if you go to a restaurant, you don't sit down and just say, I'd like a burger. Because the server is going to be like, okay, cool. How do you want the burger cooked? What toppings do you want on the burger? What condiments would you like with it? What side would you like with it? You can't just say, I want a burger, right? Because then you're not going to get the burger that you want, because you could have somebody that really doesn't care about their job and just picks what you're getting, but then you're probably going to be unhappy with the way that it's cooked, the fact that you didn't get the lettuce, tomato, onions, the fact that they put cheese on it when you didn't want cheese on it. You know what I mean? Like, you have to realize that you've got to decide what you want. You're placing your order with the universe when you're manifesting, and that means making a decision. You are deciding what you want. You're picking your manifestation off of the universal catalog, and that's how the universe is clear on what you want. But a lot of people are spending so much time focusing on what they don't want and then settling for anything that comes their way instead of deciding what they want, getting clear on what that looks like to them, getting clear on what they would feel like if they had it, getting clear on what their non-negotiables are and what areas they're negotiable in. So what I mean by that is, say you are manifesting a house and you really, really care about the kitchen because you cook a lot. You really care that it's an open layout, an open floor concept. You really care that it is in a more country setting. But you don't actually care about how many acres you have. You don't actually care whether you have a fenced in backyard or not. You don't really care about the view that you have. You just want it to be in a more country setting. So when you be looking for a house and manifesting the house, you would be very, very clear on the open floor plan, on the kitchen that you desire, seeing it in the country. But those are your non-negotiables. But the negotiables are how many acres, what the view is, where it is. Like, those are the things that you're open to. And again, everyone's going to be different here. Someone might be like, no, I want it to be on this exact street. I want it to be in this neighborhood. I want it to, some people like me, one of my non-negotiables is a fenced-in yard when I get a home because I have 2 dogs. So it's like, everyone's different, but you have to know and be clear on what you want. Decide that it is available for you because it's always available for you, but you've got to spend more time seeing the actual manifestation, like seeing what you desire and allowing the other parts to be filled in. So just like with my story earlier, I didn't care what color his skin was. I didn't care, I didn't care what he was wearing. I didn't care about like all of those other things. The things that were non-negotiables for me was the athletic build, was the fact that he was at least 6'2", and the fact that he had dark hair. Those were my non-negotiables. And so the rest filled in. I wasn't like, I don't want him to have a beard or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I left that open. So it's like, you've got to realize that you don't need to have everything laid out because there are some things that you don't really care about. They are negotiable, but you have to know what your non-negotiables are. You've got to decide and then get clear. And the more time you spend deciding and getting clear and then just going about your fucking life, the more quickly you're going to manifest, because the universe goes, okay, I know what she wants. And when we talk about manifestation from the fact that you're manifesting from your subconscious mind does not speak in English. Like, I'll say English just because that's the language we're talking in. Your subconscious mind doesn't speak in English. Your conscious mind does, because your conscious mind has been programmed to the language that is native to you. But your unconscious mind actually speaks more in imagery than anything else, and it speaks in your 5 senses. That's why tapping into the 5 senses is so powerful when you're visualizing. And that's why vision boards work so well, because people are getting very, very clear on what the image is. There's 1,000,001 houses out there. There's 1,000,001 cars out there. Even if you decide on the car, there's 1,000,001 colors and the color of the inside and the materials and what it's souped up with and all of the different things. Like, there's so many different, even if you picked one type of car, there's so many different ways that car could manifest. But when you are giving your subconscious mind a very clear picture of what you desire to manifest, you know the color of the car, you know the color of the interior, you know what year you want, or maybe that's a non-negotiable. You don't really care about the year, but it's like you're getting clear on what the negotiables are and what the non-negotiables are, and then you're allowing the universe to do the heavy lifting. You're allowing divine timing to let it come in when it's in the most aligned time, but you're getting clear on what you want and not just saying, well, I want this and hopefully it comes to me and maybe one day. No, you're deciding that that is the car that you will drive one day. You're deciding that that is the house you will live in one day. You're deciding that that is the relationship that you're going to be in one day. You're not trying to manipulate someone's free will to be like, it needs to be this person that I dated when I was 16. It's like, no, what are the traits of that person? What is the dynamic of the relationship like? But so many people aren't deciding and they aren't clear on what they want. And when you're not clear, you're not helping your subconscious mind to formulate it. And your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what has happened, what is happening, and what will happen, because time is an illusion of the matrix. So when you can actually get clear and see it in your mind, that's when your subconscious mind is actually tricked to think that you're already living in that reality. You're already driving that car. You're already in that relationship. You're already living in that home, whatever it is. So you've got to get clear and you've got to be able to see it in your mind. And some people will be like, well, I struggle with visualization. Girl, I get it. I literally, if you don't know my story, and I will definitely not be getting into this story today, but I had a near-death experience, which I don't even think you could call it a near-death experience because literally my death certificate was written. I woke up. There's no scientific explanation to how I'm here right now, how I can talk, how I'm not a vegetable. Anyway, they ripped up my death certificate and here we are, an anomaly. My brain was severely damaged from that, of course, because if I woke up, I should have been a vegetable and in a comatose state for the rest of my life. Like I should not be able to speak. I shouldn't be able to walk. I shouldn't be able to talk. That is speak, but you get what I'm saying. So I've really struggled with being able to visualize since then. Like my mind was damaged and I'm not going to use an excuse, right? So if you feel like you can't visualize, find a picture. Find a picture online, find a picture in a magazine, find a picture somewhere and start focusing on it and then see that picture in your mind. Like you've got to stop using excuses, you guys. The amount of people that are like, well, I just can't visualize. Okay, so if you keep telling yourself that you can't, then you can't. But what if you just started doing it? You know what I mean? So I understand that some people might have a more difficult time than others, but you can always feel into it and then you can help create it. There are always things that you can do to help you get more clear on what the visualization or what the manifestation looks and feels like. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the first step in manifestation is deciding. It's not about what you want. It's about deciding what you're getting and deciding who you need to be in order to have the manifestation. That is the majority of the work in manifestation. It's not this wishy-washy energy where you're sometimes telling yourself that you're going to get it, but most of the time not believing it. Or if you're spending the majority of your time worrying, doubting, fearing, seeing that it's not here yet, focusing on the fact that you don't have it, then like, of course you're not going to have it because you're only manifesting from this moment right here. And if all of your focus is on not having it, then you're showing up as the version who doesn't have it. You've got to start showing up as the version of you who has it. And the version of you who has it is certain. The version of you who has it isn't doubting it because they already have it. You know what I mean? So this is getting to be a lengthy episode. I did tell you I can't tell a story quickly. So I'm probably going to leave this one here because at this point, like this is the thing that I have found that the majority of people are struggling with. And if you just clean this one area up, you will start manifesting so quickly. The people that decide and move, they are the ones that manifest all of their desires. The people that want and wait, they are the people that get bitter and say that manifestation doesn't work for them. And then they judge other people for getting what they want. But it's like they got what they wanted because they decided they were going to have it and they moved towards it. And you just sat there sitting on your couch all day hoping that you got an email and somebody's giving you money or, you know, whatever the case is. So it's like, I want you to really ask yourself, how are you approaching your manifestation? Are you in this wishy-washy energy, which is not magnetic at all? Or are you in this potent magnetic energy where you are deciding and getting clear on what you're manifesting, knowing that it's this or something better and allowing the universe to support you? And here's the thing, right? If you believe that it can come in quickly, it can. If you don't believe that it can come in quickly, it won't. Your beliefs play a huge part in this, but once you decide, that's when you can notice the beliefs that are out of alignment and you can start shifting them. If you never decide, then it's like you don't have like a goal. You don't have a trajectory of where you're going. And that's when you get lost in the sauce in this whole manifestation world, because then you're like consuming content and reading all of the books, but you're not applying the information. And if you aren't applying it, that's when there's going to be a deficit because you're going to know more at a logical level, but you're not doing anything about it. So again, remember that story from earlier with wanting to get healthier. The universe isn't taking you seriously because you're not doing anything about it. You're just that boy that cried wolf over and over again. So the universe kind of stopped listening to you because there's other people that are actually doing the damn thing. So start doing the damn thing. All right. I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you have not yet rated the episode with 5 stars and left a comment and a review, I would really appreciate so much if you would do that so we can get the podcast out to more people. And if you're loving this podcast, please do me a favor and tag me on your Instagram stories and share it with your community so that way we can get the podcast out to more people. I'm going to be dropping more episodes, and I'm just so excited. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys so much. And until the next episode, I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you're ready to go deeper and to get into my world, you can go to my website, alexaraysmith.com. You'll find all of my current programs on there. If you're desiring to get mentored by me, then the best thing to do is shoot me a DM on Instagram and we can talk about mentorship options and which one's the best fit for you. If you're absolutely loving this podcast, please go rate it 5 stars and let me know why you're loving it. This will help me share the podcast with more people. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. And until the next episode, keep manifesting the most incredible life.